Let's talk about money. Specifically, I want to go through some basic money skills everyone should know. And the reason why I wanted to go over this is I don't approach money in a typical way. For instance, for a long time, I was $40,000 in debt because I thought it made more sense to go into a bunch of credit card debt to start a company than it did to live within my means. And that worked out. That's not something I recommend everybody do, but that worked out for me. So when it comes to money advice, I tend to favor investing in yourself over everything else, even if it means going into debt. Because if you're young and you go into debt, you have a long time to pay it off. And for me, the investing in myself did pay off and I ended up closing out that debt within 2 years. So you can do similar. That's not something I recommend for everyone though. And in today's video, I don't want to talk about that at all. I'm going to talk about basic money skills everyone should know. This video is brought to you by Email 10K. Learn how to book meetings with billion-dollar brands and take your company to the next level at email10k.com. Here are some things that are relevant to everyone, not just entrepreneurs that are going to go balls to the wall. Let's start with the very basics. The first thing you want to do is create a basic budget. And I know this sounds super annoying, but you really only have to do this one time. I remember when I created my budget, it was 3 years ago, I created this Google Doc, and maybe we'll link to the Google Doc down below. But all that's in this budget is, here is what I make this month. Here is what I'm saving for taxes this month. Here is my car payment. Here's how much I want to spend on groceries. Here's how much I want to spend on gas, everything. And then I end up with a little bit of weekly spending money each week. And then I track all that in a Google Doc. And the reason why this is so important is because if you don't understand where your money is going, you're lying to yourself. And also you gotta look at this budget and compare it to how your actual spending is. Because I found that I'll get into these habits where, let's say I buy something for 30 bucks, and then I say to myself, oh, I don't need to track that. And I say that one time, but then it turns out that that is a pattern. And if you hide that $30 expense from yourself 10 times, now you've already lost $300. So I found that you have to track every single expense and create a basic budget in order to actually succeed. So once you've figured out where your money is going, how much money you have, then you want to calculate a savings rate. So you want to figure out what percentage of your income to actually save. I would try to start with 10% and just put it directly into a bank account. When I was in college, I was getting a small payment every month from my parents, which I eventually cut myself off of, and I might talk about that in a future video. But I was getting a lump sum every single month. I think it was like $1,000, something like that every single month, just for being in college. Because I kept telling my mom I wanted to drop out. She's like trying to bribe me to stay in college. So what I did with that, let's say I had $1,000 coming in, I would calculate my savings rate and I would say I want to save 10% of this. That's $100. So instead of thinking that I had $1,000, I would just think, oh, I have $900 and build everything around that. If you pretend that the extra money that you're saving doesn't exist and you put it in a bank account separate from your main account that you can't see, it's like that money doesn't exist. I still do this to this day. I have 2 money market accounts, like stock market accounts, and 1 savings account that I just never open. And every once in a while, I'll remember it's there, like maybe once a year, and I'll just look in there and I'll be like, holy rich. But otherwise, I do not open this account or think about it because that's the emergency fund or that's the big investment fund. Like if I find the next Amazon and it's trading at 20 and I think it's gonna go up to 20,000 in the next 20 years. I love the number 20 there. But if I think that, then I'll put my massive amount of money on that one bet. You know, that's the way that I think about money. But that's why you wanna hide your savings from yourself. You don't want to know where the money's going. You don't want to know how much money you have at any given time, because if you know, at least if you're like me, if you know you have a big block of money, you're going to figure out how to spend that money. So you do not want to do that. This actually ties in perfect with the next concept, the concept of paying yourself first. That means you're saving money before you're doing anything else. So just like I was talking about before, you're not making $1,000 a month, you're making $900 a month. You do not talk about that $100. That $100, you want to forget about that it even exists. So just that doesn't exist, you're paying yourself first, and that's what that means. The next thing you want to do is learn more about banks and account types. So basic account types, there's checking accounts and there's savings accounts. I would put another type in there, which is savings accounts that you never look at. Because if you look at your normal bank, let's say you're at Chase, you do have a checking account and a savings account. But the way that I carry my money is I want only money that I'm open to spending in that main bank account, including in savings. Because I don't want to open it up and see a massive amount of money. I really do not want to do that because otherwise I might spend it. And you just need to be honest about that with yourself. Will you spend $50,000 if you see it in your account? Most people say they won't, but they will. I am one of the people that will, so I hide it in another account. So checking is for your main spending money. Savings, I'll keep a little bit extra money just in case I overspend on my checking. I can transfer that easily. Then you wanna have another bank account that you rarely look at where you have your actual savings. And I'll have these actually in categories like saving for taxes, or saving for making movies, or whatever. I got this idea from Ramit Sethi, and one of his is saving for a future wedding. But I'm not saving for a future wedding, come on. If I get married at all, it's gonna be in front of a courthouse or just in a religion that I made up. You know, that's the type of wedding I'm going for. I'm not saving for a future wedding. But you can save for your wedding, you can save for your house, whatever. Whatever specific things that you wanna save for, I would have separate accounts for each of those and put in a little bit of money in each one of those every single month. For bank recommendations, I like two banks. I like Ally Bank, and I also like Capital One 360. Ally Bank is the main bank that you would use for checking and savings because it has a pretty high interest rate for a checking account, which is great. And then Capital One 360 is your savings account that's separate from your main account. And that's a high yield savings account, meaning they have a higher interest rate for you, but you can also only pull out money, I think it's 5 times a month. So that is really your savings account that you rarely look at, and you can have your different money buckets there. And it's also important if you have a budget to actually stick to it. Sometimes I'm bad with this too, where like I'll go on vacation and I call it syndrome, like you spend $1 over your budget and then you're just like, I'll spend 2,000. You can't do that. That's not how you make money in the long run. So you want to avoid syndrome. You want to see the money that you have in your bank account or in your weekly spending as the only money that you actually have. And one way that I think it's Dave Ramsey recommends actually just keeping it in cash in your wallet. The way that works for me is tracking it in a Google Doc. So I know, if I spend $12, then I have, whatever, a couple $100 left, and it just goes down like that. Find the system that works for you, but you have to treat your money like it's real. You can't treat your money like it's a bottomless pit, or you're gonna go broke. That also goes for debt management. You don't wanna be getting into a lot of debt. I have no credit cards. After I paid off all of that debt, I swore to myself that the only debt I'm gonna get is major loans to start businesses or buy real estate. That's it. I'm not getting into any more consumer debt for the rest of my life because it's a nightmare to pay off and it's not really a good investment. So what, you get a major loan to buy a Ferrari. Now you gotta pay this off for 5-6 years and you're tied down for that monthly payment. Or you use your debt to pay for a major lifestyle so that you can afford a bigger rent. Like, it's just nonsense. You do not need to be living this lavish lifestyle. You can live however you want. And actually, it should put your back to the wall. Because what I've found is if you can go into $40,000 of debt overnight, you will. At least I was. I was staying in the fanciest hotels. I was spending money on restaurants 3-4 times a day at the fanciest places. It does not work sustainably. But you can do all that stuff. That's the thing. You just can't do all that stuff on a $2,000 or $3,000 a month salary. So what that should do is make you look at the restaurants and be like, oh, I wish I could eat there, but I'm not rich enough. I need to make more money. How can I make more money? Right? It should be putting your back to the wall. You shouldn't be thinking, oh, I want to eat at Lowry's Prime Rib. Okay, let me just put it on my credit card for $60. No. You need to be thinking, I want to eat at Lowry's Prime Rib. How do I make enough money that I can actually afford to eat here without caring about how much it costs? Another basic money skill is getting into investing. This skill is irrelevant until you have 6 months in your emergency fund. So save up 6 months of your salary in cash first. And for most of you, vast majority of people, that means investing is completely irrelevant. Do not do anything risky until you have 6 months of cash. That's it. Then you can get into investing. My favorite investment is an index fund. Our index fund, I've been doing this for a few years now, I think 5-6 years, and it's up 3 times, something crazy like that. The index is amazing. It ties to the top companies and auto balances. So I would try to invest in an index fund. My favorite bank for that is T. Rowe Price. I want to say it's free to set up. You can just get that going anytime. Other investments I like are multifamily real estate, like my building that I own. And I actually really like that one as well. And then I also keep some cash, AKA the emergency fund. So you want the emergency fund, a couple stocks in an index, and maybe some real estate if you can get it. And the reason why I'm being so general about this part is none of this matters till you have the 6 months cash in your bank account. And if you don't have that, you gotta make more money, which actually comes to the final point here, which is basic money skills. You wanna negotiate your salary. I was reading this Reddit thread the other day, and they were complaining about how this person's paid less than this other person. And the only difference in the person that was getting paid less and the other person, they were doing the exact same job. The only difference is the one that was getting more asked for a raise every single year. And they were complaining in this Reddit thread. They're like, I shouldn't have to ask for a raise, da 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 da. Well, guess what? You're not gonna change the world, but what you've unlocked there is if you ask for a raise every single year or even every quarter, if you set goals with your boss and you ask for a raise every quarter, you're gonna start moving up that money ladder quick. I remember one of my friends was getting a job at a major bank in New York City, and he was asking me for help negotiating his salary because I think they were trying to offer him like $86K to start. So I was like, man, just say the market rate for this job is $106,000, and I would prefer an offer more in that range. And guess what? They got back to him. He made over $100,000 with his first job in New York City. Sometimes all you gotta do is ask. That's a $20,000 raise. That's what's so crazy. So negotiating your salary, and then yeah, starting a business. We talk about how to start a business in Email 10K. If you wanna join Email 10K, you can do that. That is the best way to start and grow your business. So check that out at email10k.com. And I also wanted to give a major shout out to Ramit Sethi, who is a finance guy. He wrote this book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich, that I read back in college and based most of my finance system on. He's the one who introduced me to automated savings and most of the stuff I talked about in this video. So to review, here's the basic money skills everyone should know. Create a basic budget, calculate a savings rate, pay yourself first, learn more about the banks and account types, be frugal, manage your debt, get into investing, and negotiate your salary. This video is brought to you by Email 10K. Hey, are you still thinking about investing in Facebook or Google ads to grow your business? Well, I just did, and it took me $10,000 to break even. So unless you have that to drop before you see any results at all, I highly recommend you look into cold email because it's a better and cheaper way to kickstart your business. And honestly, I wish I would have invested the 10K in cold email. I would have seen a much bigger return and have in the past. Hop in Email 10K and watch the free presentation. Thanks for watching. Smash that like button to encourage this type of content on YouTube. Subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. I'm Alex Berman.